Are you sitting comfortably? If so, I'll begin. We start with the introduction. The overwhelming majority of the population take the marriage vows at least once during their lifetime. In anticipation of that romantic event, most girls, during their impressionable teens, take a few starry-eyed peeps between the pages of their prayer books to browse through the marriage service. The men, of course, pretend a lesser romance and express to all who will heed them, almost to the point of no return, their intention of evading the walk up the aisle. But the result is usually the same. Some registrar somewhere, sometime, will link their names in his register with those of their partners. And when that time comes, the man will willingly, or unwillingly, fall into line with his future wife's insistent wishes that the wedding be solemnized with all of the ancient tradition and ceremony that she will claim as her right. Yet despite the seriousness of this step and the "so long as ye both shall live" finality of their vows, few engaged couples give much thought to the legal obligations involved. This book is therefore designed to satisfy the bride's eager wish to know and so be able to follow the exact details of the formalities and the long-established customs expected of a wedding, and to at least give the bridegroom some little insight into the legal requirements that must be met before a marriage can take place. Chapter 1. Can you marry a relation? The legal points. Certain marriages are prohibited where the couple held to be too closely related. The Book of Common Prayer lists the forbidden marriages as follows. A man may not marry his mother, daughter, father's mother, mother's mother, son's daughter, daughter's daughter, sister, father's daughter, mother's daughter, wife's mother, wife's daughter, father's wife, son's wife, father's father's wife, mother's father's wife, wife's father's mother, wife's mother, wife's son's daughter, wife's daughter's daughter, son's son's wife, daughter's son's wife, father's sister, mother's sister, brother's daughter, or sister's daughter. Did you get all that? A woman may not marry her father, son, father's father, mother's father, son's son, brother, father's son, mother's son, husband's father, husband's son, mother's husband, daughter's husband, father's mother's husband, mother's mother's husband, husband's father father, husband's mother father, husband's son's son, husband's daughter's son, son's daughter's husband, daughter's daughter's husband, father's brother, mother's brother, brother's son or sister's son. Very straightforward. Chapter 6. Other arrangements you must make. Naturally, the scale of the marriage and its celebration afterwards must be related to the financial status of those concerned. And where the resource of the parents vary considerably, it is usually for the better situated to pay a full measure towards the event. The cost to the bride's parents can be considerable, and the bridegroom's parents should bear in mind that generally their own share is trivial in comparison. Account must be taken too of what funds are to be held back to help the young couple to start their new life together. Of course, many a bride is insistent that the wedding day is the high spot in her life, never to be repeated, and she expects it to be treated as such. And if there is anything to spare after the celebration, maybe she wants the honeymoon to be the talking point of her memories for the rest of her life. Men are more inclined to favour less publicity and pageantry than their brides, but they are often in collusion with her concerning the scope of their honeymoons. Chapter 7. The Bachelor Party. It has long been the custom for the prospective bridegroom to entertain his bachelor friends at a party on the night before his wedding. And as you can imagine, such affairs are generally regarded with a tolerant eye by the older folk, as being a last wild fling before the responsibilities of matrimony descend on the young man's shoulders. But too often, the effect on the guests, particularly on the bridegroom and the best man, has been carried over to the wedding day. More than once in the past, because of the previous night's bachelor party, has a bridegroom been conducted to the altar by his friends, hardly fit to stand alone, and certainly not sufficiently in command of his senses to be able to follow the service in detail or to make his vows in the proper spirit. Many a bride has found herself alone on her wedding night, while her husband slept off the hangover from his bachelor party, made worse by the hairs of the biting dog thrust upon him at the reception by his devoted but sadly misguided friends. A bachelor party is usually an informal affair, held in a hotel, a restaurant, or even in a nightclub. But wherever possible, a private room should be engaged so that other guests of the establishment will neither be inconvenienced or diverted by the noisy conversations that is almost certain to arise. Of course, there will be no ladies amongst the guests, and traditionally, this party is restricted to unmarried men. However, on occasion, married brothers of the groom have been included. As it is the bridegroom's party, who can deny him the right to stretch convention a little? The whole affair is traditionally ignored by the bride, treated with amusement, though shy interest, by the sisters of the couple and girls of their age group, and with delighted laughter by their male relatives of an older generation, as they recall their own bachelor parties. The best man may make use of some further points in his speech based on his personal knowledge of the groom. An event or two during their school days, the girls, unnamed, whom he is about to abandon, how the cunning witch laid the trap to ensnare him, the usual penny bun costing 2 pence in future, the expense of milk when the time comes. The bridegroom responds with an equally farcical farewell to his bachelor friends, friends whom he is glad to abandon because of their shockingly selfish ways of life. A bunch of reprobates, boozers, and ill-mannered oafs. How he is about to enjoy the salubrious company of someone who will cook for him, warm his slippers by the fire, sew his buttons on, and wash the car for him. Someone who will pander to his merest whim, the warm fire he will enjoy while his erewhile friends are tramping the rain-drenched streets in search of company. The bridegroom can extend his speech, always in a humorous vein, to bring in a sad farewell to past girlfriends, a welcome at home for all his men friends, so long as they wipe the shoes on the doormat, a request that financial aid should not be withheld if they ever again meet in the pub, and a final request that they should all behave themselves at the wedding and the reception afterwards and not disgrace him in front of his bride and his newfound relatives. On occasion, a female entertainer is engaged for this spot in the evening, but it can lead to a good deal of ill feeling among girlfriends afterwards, to a certain amount of malicious gossip, and to ill feeling where she is invited to drink with the guests. The host and the best man should be capable of bringing the party to an end when everyone has had a thoroughly good time, but before spirits become either too boisterous or minds too fuddled. 11 o'clock is quite late enough, and the wise guest will then go home either by bus or by taxi.